All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Stand please for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call please.
All board members are present this evening.
Okay, so approval of the agenda. We want to make a motion.
I would move to approve the agenda as presented.
Support. Moved and supported. Vote please.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Howe votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mrs. Frederick,
Yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
carries.
Okay, so Chris, were you able to hear everybody?
I can hear everybody.
Great. That's what we want to know. All right, so the next item, number 5, is a consent agenda approval. Somebody like to make a motion, please?
I would move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Vote please.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mrs. Frederick,
Yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Howe votes yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
motion carries.
Okay, the announcement and information. The EDA is having a volunteer fair this Wednesday, March 23rd, from 6 to 8 p.m. at 205 West Livingston in Highland, Michigan. If you're interested in volunteering for the many different committees on the DDA and to help work on our downtown, see if you can make it. So that's 6 to 8 this Wednesday.
What, and it's other agencies too.
So they have 13 total.
Oh, 13 different groups.
Yep.
Okay. That are all looking for volunteers.
Right.
All right, so next item is public comment. Anybody have any public comment?
Hi, Rick, this is Waltzop. I just had a question or comment that I hope I'll hear during the discussion about the purchase of the property.
Sure.
Why it's important to Highland to purchase that. I see the purchase cost, so I understand that, but the other question was, are the funds coming from? And so I'll just stay tuned and listen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Did you have anything you'd like to say?
Salary came here just to hear what's going on about the property.
Okay,
It's fun
so.
here. I know I can't stop anything to do.
Well, you
Wasting my
could,
breath,
but,
wasting my breath to tell you stuff. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the next item, which this is a special board meeting for the trustees of Highland Township to discuss the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund acquisition grant application for property that the township is intending to purchase on South Hickory Ridge Road. And it's approximately 58 acres, I believe. So what we'll do is we'll move forward with public hearing. On board, we have Chris Nordstrom from Carlisle Workman, who is one of our consultants, and they are handling this process for us. So, Chris.
Thank you very much for having me here tonight, and thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules. I know that it's a lovely night, and I'd much rather be outside than in here, but hopefully we can make this short, and I'll kind of fill you in on where things are with the grant application today. This, can you see my screen right now? I should ask that.
Yep.
Okay. So this is a rough conceptual plan of what could happen with the property. So this is Highland Road here, South Hickory Road, and it's about 600 feet south of that intersection. It's a large agricultural field that has some nice wetlands in the southwest corner, smaller wetlands in the northeast corner. I think that needs to be adjusted a little bit. But the concept is to have a place where we could have a future arboretum, do a prairie restoration, have potentially a dog park in the future. and then mountain bike trails, and that also needs to be added to this plan. To answer the gentleman's question about why this is important, in the recreation plan, which we developed a couple of years ago, one of the goals and objectives that was set forth by the board was to look for opportunities to acquire land that helps to preserve the natural features of the township, and provide ongoing recreation activities for the community. And it was deliberately left a little bit vague because you just didn't know what might pop up over 5 years. And sure enough, we had this opportunity to come up with Six Rivers Land Conservancy, where they bought the property. They're holding it essentially for now, and have agreed to sell it back to the township at cost. It is a really lovely property. I'm going to switch over to some site photos here and just give you an idea for those of you who haven't seen the property yet. Right now, it's mostly just farm field, but there's a really nice gentle slope to the whole thing. This is looking out towards the northwest, and if we scroll down a little bit, this is looking to the northeast. And in this area here, and I apologize, these are not the highest quality photos. That's kind of what happens when you convert it to PDF. But there's a really lovely wetland in this area, and I'll show you a picture of that in just a moment. Doesn't look like much right now because it was winter time when we took the pictures, but this is a buttonbush swamp, and if you haven't seen buttonbush in the past, it's a really interesting looking plant. The flowers, this may not be appealing to anybody right now, but the flowers kind of look like a COVID virus. It's a round ball with a bunch of little spikes on it, and it's completely unique, something that you just don't see anywhere else. While I was out walking through the area, I saw some waterfowl circling around the wetland. I saw at least 2 red-tailed hawks. There was a buzzard flying overhead, deer tracks all over the property. It's clearly, even though it's been farmed, it's clearly an important ecological piece of the township. And it would make a wonderful resting spot for birds and animals that are migrating to and from the nature areas nearby. And with relatively little work required to do so. This is looking along a hedgerow that I would imagine probably would be removed, but again, that's to be determined. I should mention this is an acquisition grant. It's not a development grant, which means we're using the funds to buy the property. And at that point, we do have to make it available for public use. So we're talking about putting in a small parking lot, putting up a park sign, putting a recognition plaque that shows that this was funded by the DNR grant. But beyond that, any development opportunities really are yet to be determined. This is one of the wet areas on the north side. It's pretty clearly just a seasonal wetland. When I was there, this was a few weeks ago now, it still had some standing water in the bottom, but for the most part, it would be grassy throughout the summer months. And there's a small forest on the northeast side that Eagle calls a black oak barren. I kind of question if it really is, but for now, that's what we're going to put on in the survey, or into the application, I should say. It is really nice though, very hilly, lots and lots of trees. And it could be really just an amazing place to walk or do some mountain biking as you see fit. And then last thing I want to point out is that this property gives you an opportunity to develop a sidewalk along South Hickory Ridge Road, leading down to the West Christian Academy to the south. You could come down to this point, bring it in, match up with the trail system that was proposed for the inside, and you just all of a sudden have a new place for residents to go out and walk and hike. And that is something that was the most requested feature of any park in the recreation plan, was that people wanted to see more trails, they wanted to see more nature preserved, and this property does exactly that. And this is again looking south. So there's a lot of room on the shoulder within the right of way. But if we wanted to pull it into the park more and really pull people away from there, so it's a little bit safer, you've got that option. I don't know if I may have to stop sharing and restart here. Hold on just a second. Okay, so hopefully now you can see the Oakland County Gateway map. And I'm just bringing this up to show you the three parcels. This is the northernmost here. When you do that, you kind of lose the image. But this is where the gas pipeline is going through. So we have to keep an easement free there from development. But that doesn't mean we can't do things like putting in prairie, putting in limestone trails, what have you. The mountain biking would be in this area. This is the little forested area I was mentioning just a moment ago. You can see in the second parcel, it's almost all agricultural, but then there's this nice little wetland here. It may not look like much from an aerial, but when you're down on the ground looking in there, it really is high quality. And I think it's a really important thing to preserve that so that the animals and flora in the area have a place to, to have a habitat that they can reside in. And then the third parcel is a little bit smaller, but again, mostly agricultural. So with the idea of this is we would have walking paths. I don't know what that configuration would be, but I would imagine at least it would go along the outside edge. It gives you roughly a mile if you made one big loop around the property. It is mostly flat, a little bit hillier up on this end, but that's basically it. So I'm going to switch this back to the concept plan, just so we have something we can talk about if I can find it. Nope, here we go. And there, again, you can see how this would ultimately work out. With that, does anybody have any questions I can help with?
No, that's very nice.
Well, it's kind of like a natural state where it's crickets here. Yeah.
So
Yeah, it is. And I think it's important to remember that when you have an opportunity to get a piece of property of this size at the rate that you did, and you can fund $300,000 of the total cost through the state, boy, it's a no-brainer to me that that's something you want to try to pursue. As you know, the community is growing, and as it continues to grow, these types of properties are going to become more and more scarce. So it's important to try to save it now, even though it may not seem like you're getting an immediate benefit, because I know for a lot of residents here, you've got big lots, you've got woods right by you. Well, if you think about your kids or your grandkids or future generations that are going to be coming in, if you've got this kind of a property in place, it ends up raising the property value for everybody and just gives you that much more appeal to residents who are looking for a place to come where they can get that outdoor experience and still be close to other amenities. So that's why I would personally pursue this. But again, it's kind of up to you, the residents of Highland Township, to decide if that's something you want to pursue.
Yeah, it's a very, if you haven't been out there, I mean, to walk around, even though it's flat, it's really a very nice walk around the perimeter of it. And I think the opportunity to have a park that is based more on the natural environmental components, as in the plants and giving people an opportunity to be able to see the types of flora and fauna that would naturally thrive there, and that we keep chasing out by the more we bisect, dissect, and shrink up all the large parcels. And it also is the case where if you want to keep open space, it's pretty hard to do it by leaving it in private hands, because at some point in time, the value will become so high that it will get chopped up. And this is an opportunity where the township can help maintain the rural atmosphere or rural environment, people that drive down Hickory Ridge Road will at least get a significant piece of open land to appreciate in the distant future, actually. So I think this is a really good opportunity, and it's a nice thing the family was able to, the soul that was willing to work with us on it and work with Six Rivers too. So, but the real saving grace is working with Six Rivers to be able to have them purchase it in advance, allowed us to be able to get the family paid off and then put us in a position to be able to purchase it later, because you can't buy it and then apply for a grant. So you can't own it first. And so we have to have somebody else at the wheel, so to speak. And you couldn't get a better group to partner with than Six Rivers either, because that's their goal, is to maintain open space, waters. And one of the things that I really wanted to make sure of when we looked at this is that we don't overburden the park with mechanical physical activities. You know, that's the thing that I think is, we have parks that's going to be happy. The playground's a mechanical physical activity. The baseball and the soccer are mechanical physical.
Exactly.
So that's what I think is the best way to make that work. So anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
I think I got you. All right, sorry for the banter there. Somebody's trying to log in and I'm trying to run the operation. Usually we've been having somebody else in the background. So, okay, so I guess at this point, Chris, is there anything else that we're going to need to do? I guess we can open it up to the public on this. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so this is the public hearing. So we're going to leave this on the screen. So anybody has any questions from the public at this time, this is the opportunity.
What time is it?
It is 6:48. Mr. Smith?
It's not a question, it's a statement, but I think it fulfills a dream of having a facility in each quadrant of the township, which in the future is going to make Highland a fabulous place to live.
Thank you. I don't know if those that are on Zoom could hear that, but Roscoe Smith said that it fulfills the dream or the requirement to have a park in each quadrant of the township. So any other comments?
How many acres is it?
What's that?
How many acres?
It's just short of 60. It's like 58. Isn't that it, Chris? 58 acres?
It'll be a
I
township.
think it's like 59.3, something like that.
Yeah, it depends on who you ask. I mean, I've seen,
Because of right of way.
yeah,
Could the township eventually sell it for something else if they want to?
we could,
And we have to pay back the grant to the Michigan National.
We'd have to pay it.
yeah. I hope I'm not around if that ever.
The grant pays for everything, make the trails and everything.
No, we pay 30%. Highland
I
Township,
have to put in 30.
30% of the purchasing price, because this is just an acquisition. And then if we do go to construct, we could go for another grant.
So we're going to help you make the
Yeah.
math.
Mhm.
Yep.
Or our capital improvement could pay for it.
Is there a plan to do that, like in future plans, or yes, we're just gonna wait until?
We actually, there's a member of our community named Jake Lloyd, who's a landscape architect. And Jake is going to work with us. I mean, he's agreed that he would work with us to come up with work with the park committee and come up with ideas and then try and create the final conceptual stuff so that we can get move to the next level. If you're going to go for a grant, you're going to have to figure out what the costs would be to do the components, and so that's what we would do from there, so.
Right now, you just buy it.
Right, right. And you need to, the reason for this concept is you need to have a good rational reason to capture that land and keep it whole. And I think this does a pretty good job of that on its own, so. Any other public?
Rick, this Waltzop, thanks to the gentleman who presented. It was very helpful. And Rick, I remember now this has been a topic that's been on the horizon here for a little while, so I appreciate bringing it in again for public comment. My only comment is I hope it stays as natural as possible without a bunch of play structure and other man-made accoutrements in the field of vision. So hopefully it can stay natural. So, other than that, it's a great idea. Thank you.
Yep, you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly, when I first looked at this, the thing that I thought about was, prairie and I used to be in the landscape business. So to me, I look at this land from a different perspective. I see it for and I used to own the nursery too that grew trees and that. And I'm kind of a fan of the old English estates where the landscaping wasn't necessarily plants around the building, but the whole estate was a landscape plan, so they would take advantage of the different contours, grow different trees. This is a good opportunity to help maintain an inventory of native plants and to actually bring out a prairie restoration. Now, Jake Lloyd, who I mentioned earlier, he lives on White Lake Road, and he's really well-versed in prairie restoration. And that's the thing that I really thought about him when we were doing that, because he's been doing it on he's got about 10 or 20 acres that he's doing a prairie on himself. So this will be a pretty interesting thing.
Who maintains the parks and Rec?
Right now, we do it.
Township.
Yep.
Has a person that works from the office.
We've kept them pretty simple. It's easy to get them a little too complex, and then you end up with a huge expense just trying to keep the.
Notice trash cans are always full.
Well, we always empty them, but they always get full. We
I
just
don't
keep it
know
like
if
that.
they're doing that fast, that's all.
Yeah. Well, they'll fill them up overnight. Seriously.
We do empty them twice a week,
No, twice a week.
Mondays and Fridays.
And then up here on Acre 2.
Yep.
Fields are maintained by like the soccer club and baseball.
Okay. If there's no further public comment, then we'll.
Rick, there has been a few comments in the chat window. I've answered them as best I can, but I wanted to just bring that to your attention.
I guess I got to look at the chat.
Can somebody who's on there do a screen capture of the comments in there and email them to me? I need to retain them.
This is the chat.
Yeah, I can do that for you.
Okay, thank you.
There you go. You read them?
Where's the stuff?
Oh,
Chris Taylor.
you should probably read them in the comment.
All right, so Chris Stalen, everyone, excellent news. That was the first comment. Second one from Chris was, will this be a township park versus state versus county? I think we answered that. Township park. I don't know which screen I'm on here, so bear with me. That's the screen capture. Let's see, where'd they go?
Read the list of people to the right. So click right there.
This one.
On the list.
There we go. Chris Nordstrom answered that. This will be Township Park. Chris Stalen, thank you. Aspen Management. And we answered yes to Top by Township. And that's it. All right, so thank you for the comments. And I think we can probably close it out now, Chris.
Close the public hearing.
Was that a yes?
That was a yes, sorry.
Okay, so we'll close the public hearing at 6:55.
I have a question.
Yes,
Chris, could you put the property gateway back up?
Sure, just
On
one
there it
second.
shows 3 parcels,
it shows it.
and then in the plan it shows all 3?
Yeah.
Oh, but the red line doesn't go all the way down to
Yeah,
the
it
bottom?
does.
Oh, does it?
There's a real fine line in there. You
Yeah,
can't
I
see
saw
it.
the fine line.
That's the property.
Okay, so, okay.
Okay, are you seeing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you click on one property, it just highlights.
No,
the
in
one.
the,
Oh, in the other, let me,
Yeah, put the other plan up.
there you go. So yeah, here's the third parcel, second parcel, and first. And I will say that the gas line easement is gonna be a little bit tricky to work with, but there's still a ton of room up here. Whatever configuration you want, putting in mountain bike trails or whatever else won't be a problem. They just don't want to see any kind of permanent structures within the easement.
okay.
Right. And then, any heavy driving.
So where that darkness is, right, is the red line.
All right, any other board members have anything they'd like to ask on? Looks good. All right,
Rick, there is another person waiting to be admitted.
Peter. Hey, Peter. All right, so Peter's with us. Chris, could you put the proposal up, the proposed use thing?
I'm sorry, the which one?
The first one, the conceptual.
Are you not seeing that right now?
No, we're seeing the property gateway.
Okay, sorry about that. I thought it had switched over. Here we go. How about now?
Yep.
Oh,
Okay,
okay,
so,
so the thin line, okay. I see.
all right, Peter, are you, this is what we're looking at. I guess, well, you missed this part of it, so, this is the parcel property that we're talking about, purchasing for a park and, basic proposed uses. So, did you have any questions, Peter? Guess not. All right, so. Close the public hearing, I said, what, 6:55?
Yeah,
All right, so we'll go on to item number 9, new business. This is resolution 2205 to support the South Hickory Ridge Road property acquisition. So we will make a motion.
I move to approve resolution 2205, support of South Hickory Ridge Road property acquisition.
Support Lewis. Lewis gets it.
Lewis gets it, okay. Moved and supported. Any discussion on that? Now, this will probably, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're probably talking 23 or 24 before anything really happens for this.
Yeah, what'll happen is we submit on April 1st, or prior to April 1st. They will come back to us with any questions or adjustments that they want to see. This actually is a good opportunity for anybody that's in favor of the park to send in a letter of support for it. And we'll include that in the next go around. That would probably be in about August or September. They'll make the announcements as to which grant applications they want to fund in December. And at that point, it moves pretty quickly on an acquisition grant. So I think it's approved in February of 23. And then once it's approved, we can just move forward and close everything out.
All right, well, we'll cross our fingers it goes as smooth. It's in your hands. And I want to thank you for taking this on. I know we're paying you to do it, but it was certainly one thing that my brain said I needed to take it on, and then common sense said, no, Rick, you got to let somebody else do this. So
Well, it's my pleasure, and I really sincerely think it's a really lovely piece of property in it. And I love the idea of seeing prairie through there. That's something you just don't see very much in Southeast Michigan anymore. So it could be really great.
And we'll be able to, let it go fallow in a couple of years, so that, I think they'll probably, I think the Secret Service will probably allow the farmer, I don't know if they've had a talk with them or not, to farm it, because that's worth some money, so you might as well let them do some agricultural work on it, that will pay for some of the costs, so. All right, so moved and supported. Can we get a vote, please?
Mrs. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia.
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis.
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe.
Mr. Howe votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Cooper, yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
All right, well, thank you, board, and I think this will be a pretty cool thing to carry forward into the future. So on that note, then this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.